Assalamu alaikum to all of my friends, and this is me Abdul Moidbart from BS Biochemistry. And today I will dedicate my presentation to Dr. Hammad Majeed. So let's start presentation of environmental chemistry. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And today my presentation topic is automobile pollutants and smog. And according to Robert Urban, there is so much pollution in the air. If our lungs will not accommodate it, then there would be no place to put it all. And the contents that I will cover in my presentation, it comprises the automobile pollutant, the sources and harmful effects of carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, suspended particulates matter, volatile organic compounds, sulfur dioxide, and finally we will discuss about smog, how it is formed and types of smog. First one is automobile pollutant. Any substance that is present in the atmosphere in a sufficient concentration and cause harm to humans is said to a air pollutant. If the concentration is not sufficient or below the threshold value, then it will not cause any damage or harm to humans. Each day, we people inhale 20,000 liters of air, and this air mostly contains fine toxic particles which cause respiratory disorders and other health issues for us. Approximately 90% air pollution in the United States caused by five major primary pollutants, which include carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, volatile organic compound, and suspended particles. All these primary pollutants undergoes chemical reaction produce secondary pollutant which include sulfuric acid, nitric acid, sulfates, nitrates, ozone and photochemical oxidant as well. We discuss about the carbon monoxide, then it is basically the poisonous, odorless, tasteless and colorless gas. There are two major sources behind carbon monoxide production. One is anthropogenic source which involve human activities. Other is natural sources. The major source in anthropogenic source basically the combustion of fuel in the automobile engine. If the combustion or oxidation of fuel take place in a complete way, then the byproduct we will get carbon dioxide and water. If the combustion and oxidation of fuel take place in incomplete way, then the byproduct we will get carbon monoxide and water into the atmosphere. It's quite surprising for us, the natural source producing 10 times more carbon monoxide into the atmosphere comparatively to the anthropogenic sources. The main natural source is methane gas, which comes by two ways. One is by the decaying of plants material in the swamps in anaerobic condition, and the other source of methane is basically the it's produced in the stomach of ruminants by the activity of microorganisms. It actually happens, microorganisms which reside in the stomach of the ruminants involved in processing the carbohydrates which they intake. By the processing of carbohydrates, methane gas is produced. When this methane gas come into the atmosphere, then it oxidizes in incomplete way and produce carbon monoxide and water into the atmosphere. If we talk about the effects of carbon monoxide, then whenever someone inhale carbon monoxide, then it's bind with the hemoglobin and produce carboxyhemoglobin product. This carboxyhemoglobin products basically deprives all these body parts from the oxygenated blood. Because the carbon monoxide affinity and capacity to bind with the hemoglobin is more comparatively to the oxygen. So whenever it will interact with the hemoglobin, then it will replace oxygen and bind with it. To overcome these situations, the person or the patient should inhale pure oxygen at high level of concentration so that oxygen replace carbon monoxide and bind with the hemoglobin and produce oxyhemoglobin in the body. And the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning involve the headache, dizziness, loss of conscious, etc. Next one is nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen dioxide is major NOx pollutant in the atmosphere and formed from nitric oxide. Two sources behind it, one is anthropogenic source, other is natural source. The Nitrogen and oxygen is basically present in the atmosphere, but it not react with each other until or unless it get high temperature. And this high temperature is provided by the internal combustion engine and in the industrial furnaces. These two unreacted gas under the high temperature and produce nitric oxide. This nitric oxide basically react again with oxygen and produce nitrogen dioxide. Likewise, nitrogen dioxide also enter into the atmosphere. Meanwhile, thunderstorming condition. Whenever thunderstorming take place, then these two unreactive gases react with each other into the atmosphere and produce nitrogen dioxide. By the decaying activity of bacteria of nitrogen containing compound under the soil, nitrogen dioxide also producing into the environment. Okay. If we talk about the effects of NOx on the human health, it causes irritation of the eyes, inflammation of the lungs tissue, and emphysema. Emphysema is basically the state in which destruction of the walls of alveoli take place. And the major role of NOx is basically in the production of photochemical smog that have very health issues for us. If we try to reduce the production of NOx into the environment, then we can lower the temperature of furnaces. Okay, but we don't do that because the efficiency of the engine would be compromised if we lower the temperature uh, of furnaces or our combustion engine. Okay. Third one is suspended particles. Words itself representing that the particles that basically suspend and float in the air. Okay, these particles made up of different substances like carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, and metal compounds. Smaller will be the particle, the move it will move deeper into the respiratory tract. Okay, the larger particle matters are basically 10 micrometer in diameter, which stay in the upper parts of respiratory tract, such as our nose and throats. The smaller will be the particle, the more deeper it will move in our respiratory tract. Okay, there will be more chances to enter into our bronchioles, our alveoli, and to damage our alveoli there. Okay, if we talk about the sources of particles matter, it basically the wood burning, burning of vegetative matters, forest fire, tobacco smoke, and other mobile vehicles are responsible for the production of these suspended particles into the atmosphere. If we look at the index chart, we came to know if their value will be 0 to 50 or 51 to 100, then it will be considered good quality air or moderate quality air. If the value of particulates matter in the atmosphere exceed to 200 or 300, then this air or atmosphere will be very unhealthy and hazards for all humans and animals for as well. We look at the city ranking in 2018, we came to know in the Bahawalpur, its value is basically 214, and it's mean the air quality is very harmful in that particular city. Okay, what would be the effects of particulates matter? As I tell you before, the more will small in size, the more chance to penetrate in our lungs. Okay, if we look at there, thus if long-term exposure to particulates matter take place, then it will cause basically not only damage to the alveoli, it will cause mutation in the DNA, and DNA will unable to repair, and these basically genetic disorder will proceed into the offspring in the next generation. Okay, if acute exposure of particulates matter take place, then it will just cause for the production of the reactive oxygen species into the alveoli, which basically temporarily cause the inflammation of alveoli that would be recovered after some time. Okay, we talk about the VOX or volatile organic compound and its effect. We came to know it's basically in the form of gas emitted from certain solids or liquid. Volatile organic compounds also include a variety of organic chemicals. Okay, and these organic chemicals are basically present in household products such as in paints, varnishes, in many cleansing items, in cosmetic products as well. Okay, it's also evaporated from the leaves of certain plant species like pine, eucalyptus, and sandalwood trees as well. And what's their effects? It's cause irritation of the eyes, nose, throat, shortness of breath issues, dizziness, skin problems, and others, some health issues as well. Long-term exposure to these volatile organic compounds cause kidney and central nervous system also. The fourth one is sulfur dioxide. The major 73% source responsible for the production of sulfur dioxide into the environment is fossil fuel combustion, and 23% it comes from the industrial sources. Okay, hydrogen sulfide is also produced by the anaerobic decomposition of sulfur containing compound by microorganisms. When this hydrogen sulfide comes into the atmosphere, it reacts with the oxygen, then it produces sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. So again, it has anthropogenic sources and natural source. Anthropogenic source involve combustion, and natural source involve the degradation by the microorganisms. Okay, the effects of sulfur dioxide on human health is basically cause irritation of the eyes, respiratory damages, and also other health complications. And this sulfur dioxide is also harmful to some species of the plant, such as barley, alfalfa, cotton, and wheat as well. Finally, we will came to know about smog. Smog is basically the combination of two words. One is smoke and other is fog. Smog is basically the mixture of many pollutants, mainly ground level ozone and fine particulate matters. What is ground level ozone and how it is formed? Ground level ozone is basically bad ozone. Okay, and it is created when nitrogen oxides react with volatile organic compounds in the presence of sunlight. These two components react with each other and they get energy and temperature from the sunlight. In the presence of sunlight, the nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds or VOCs react with each other and produce ground level ozone, which is known as bad ozone. And that is basically the major component for the synthesization and for the production of smoke into the atmosphere. It mostly happens in hot summer days. Okay, there are two types of smoke. One is photochemical smoke and other is industrial smoke or sulfurous smoke. What is photochemical smoke? Photochemical smoke is also known as Los Angeles smog. It is brownish color, basically haze, and it comprises two components. One is hydrocarbons and the other is nitrogen oxide. Okay, and these two components react in the presence of sunlight and they cause brownish color into the atmosphere. The other is industrial smog or sulfurous smog. It is also known as London smog and it's basically comprises on a mixture of fly ash, sulfur dioxide and some volatile organic compounds. Okay, all these components react with each other and produce a very blackish environment into the atmosphere, which is known as industrial smog and sulfurous smog. And industrial smog would representative the major role in the production of this smoke is industries, because industry is responsible for the production of high level of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere by the combustion of fossil fuels. Okay, and if we talk about the effects of smoke on health, it whenever someone inhales smoke, it causes cough, wheezing, risk of heart disease, lungs issues, and also leads person towards asthma and emphysema as well. And it can also kill plants. Okay, so it will totally damage the biodiversity if it will stay for a long period of time. That's all from my side. Thanks for your attention and the references of all my presentations, The Principle of Environmental Chemistry by James E. Gerard, and Jazakumullah khaira. Allah Hafiz. Thank you so much for your attention and for listening me.